Welcome, gents, into another episode of the Almost 13 Colonies podcast. I'm your host, the worst commish, Colin Sears, joined by Deucer Pat and Vinny as always. Vinny's been a little scarce lately, though, so shout out to being here.
Blame that on the life outside of our actual fun,
There is no life outside the league, though.
Not when work calls.
Fair enough. And our guest today already joining us because he's early. If you're 5 minutes early, you're late in Zach Beery's world. So Mr. Zach himself.
Welcome. Hello. Woo. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on this evening.
So as we start every podcast, cheers, boys. It's a Tuesday.
Cheers. It's a Tuesday.
Cheers. Tuesday.
So we got a little bit of news to talk about today. A couple interesting articles came across my desk. The first one is that more news out of Cleveland. Kareem Hunt has requested a trade. He no longer likes to sit behind Nick Chubb in class.
Honestly, I think that's a smart move on his part, but I don't think he was going to want to pay what he wants or give up what they.
Is it the money, or does he want the playing time?
A little bit of both. He wants he wanted a contract extension, but doesn't sound like they're willing to necessarily do that because they do have Chubb as the lead back. How far does this bump Kareem Hunt up your draft board or down, I guess? We'll start with you, Zach.
Right now, who's to say, right? Cleveland's in a solid spot to use two running backs, depending on the Deshaun Watson news. Goodell came out, today and said, I'm going to give Deshaun a year. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. And then I suppose we have to wait and see what happens with Kareem. Does he get traded or do the Browns keep him? So until some of that dust settles, I think he stays right where he does, for me for now.
Currently, just for reference, he is going as running back 28 off the board.
I'm fine with that for now.
Fine with that for now?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think that's actually pretty solid. I think depending on where he lands, if he does get traded, that could either sway it up a decent amount or sway it down. I think he's in one of the better running back committee setups, though.
What do you think is a good landing spot for him? Give me three teams you'd like to see him on.
Honestly, the Seahawks need a running back. Do I think it's going to be beneficial for him? I have no idea because their quarterback is so up in the air. I don't know if they're going to be good. So it might be like, let's see, Le'Veon Bell with the Jets that one year where obviously you knew he was going to be one of the better backs, but their team just sucked as a whole. And so he didn't even, perform whatsoever because they couldn't even get a first down to save their life.
Yeah, tough to run against, 8 in the box. So, Pat, what do you think? Give me your thoughts. Is 28 about right? Or are you moving him up your board? And give me a couple teams you could go to.
I think for now, I think he's great at 28. I don't think he moves up or down. He may move up a little bit, but probably not super high on the board. But that does mean that he would be a great second or third round pick if he does get traded.
Yeah, that could be some good leads.
And as far as teams I'd like him to go to, you all are probably going to hate me for saying this, but I'd like to see him on the Patriots.
That was going to be, if no one mentioned it, Patriots. I think he'd fit
I think he would be a great fit there.
Give me Philadelphia all day.
Oh, Philadelphia would also be a good pick.
Philadelphia would be great.
And all they have right now is Miles Sanders. Now, no offense to Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is great. But you give me Miles Sanders and Kareem Hunt, and boy, oh boy, 28 to 17, 18 on the board there if he goes to Philadelphia.
Yeah, the thing is, I want to see Philadelphia commit to a run plan, like a run game.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's my only hesitancy with Philadelphia. I think they're going to be a great team, but I have no idea what type of system they're going to do with their running backs.
They have commitment issues for sure. So
they do.
The main Twitter grumbling right now is that the Falcons would be one of the most likely landing spots. Falcons or Texans are the big two I'm seeing here.
Yikes.
But if you think about both those teams, neither one have an established back. You have Cordero Patterson in Atlanta, and he's a converted receiver, obviously. Broke out last year at the running back spot, but they might be looking for somebody who's more natural at the position. And then
Yeah.
Houston, it seems like they brought in, 6, 7, or 8 retreads to see if somebody can find some magic.
Yeah. Back to the Eagles, I also think Hurts takes a little bit of those red zone touches away from the running back as well because he's more mobile.
I agree with you. I think the big reason that they do that though is because that's about all they have, right?
That's
what
true.
other option do you have? You give them more of an option like Kareem Hunt, and maybe you see the running backs take a tick.
Yeah, it could really take their
Philadelphia.
team to the next level. That's for sure.
Definitely.
They're just gonna be a stout team.
And then the next piece of news I had for us to chew on is J.K. Dobbins was officially taken off the PUP list, physically unable to perform list, and he is possibly gearing up for a week 1 return. And there's kind of some skepticism as far as, was he ahead, was he behind on his rehab? I know his doctor said that, he might not be ready as quick as he thought he was. He was sending out mean tweets at people saying, he's going to be the go-to guy week 1. So it's interesting, where would you feel comfortable drafting J.K. Dobbins at this point? I'm not sure that they're ready to roll out with him 100%. I think you have to, from a medical standpoint, you have to load manage a little bit just to make sure you ease him back into NFL contact. I mean, because making cuts and running in practice is one thing. Getting tackled by 300-pound men on a football field is another. So
exactly, and on top of that, he's projected he's a 21 right now for running backs.
Yep.
I think that's a little high in my opinion. He hasn't established himself. He's above Antonio Gibson.
They did say Gus Edwards is behind on his rehab just a little bit, so some of his competition might be lagging behind. But if you remember, J.K. Dobbins was fantastic in 2020, his rookie season. The only problem was he didn't catch the ball. He ran the ball, and I believe he averaged 6.2 yards a carry, which is just asinine for an NFL running back.
And his quarterback is also the most mobile quarterback in the entire league.
Oh, Lamar Jackson's RB1 in Baltimore for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Any comments?
Ali, if he's healthy, he can be solid. I would say that he'd be in that top 20. I mean, I would agree with where he would stand at if he's healthy, but I need to see where he's at right now. And a small little setback could set him back half the season.
Right. Zach, what do you think? Would you trust J.K. Dobbins as an RB1 or 2 on your team?
Right now, J.K. Dobbins, for me, has about as much stock as Saquon Barkley does. You don't know if they're going to get hurt again. You don't know if he's going to tear an ACL or do whatever else, right? Sure, they'd be great if they can stay healthy. But right now, I just need to see that out of J.K. I need to see that out of Saquon.
I think when at their peak for, when they're healthy, they're great running backs. It's just they are so inconsistent with staying healthy. And so that's a risk that you need to take into account. I think that's why Saquon's fallen away to 15 for running backs. I'm shocked that Christian McCaffrey still is at number 2. That's the one thing. I know he's healthy, but golly, last 2 or 3 seasons, he's just been injury riddled.
Pat, your thoughts?
I agree with Zach. I think he's too high and he's too injury prone, and I think he's worth the risk, but definitely like a round 8 risk. I don't know if he's somebody I would personally, for me in my draft, I don't know if I would go for him so
Here's
high.
what I'll tell you though, Pat. Right now, ESPN has J.K. Dobbins selling at auction price for $17.9, $18, we'll say. If you said, Zach, give me J.K. Dobbins for $18, I'd say slam that all day long.
Oh yeah,
right? $18, you're going to find me getting J.K. any day.
You have to adjust for our league inflation now.
I was just about to say you had to adjust for inflation.
But
today's
going
economy.
I know, but he's going off ESPN what the average is for that. If he was at $18, you would 100% take that risk.
Yep.
I would take if it was 15.
18 is easy. I would even go up to 20 probably. If I already had 2 rock star running backs on my team, I'd take that risk.
And that's at a total of $200 spent. Just so the pod listeners know, we're not going off of other people's numbers. That's $200 in our league spent on one position there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are kind of, it sounds like the consensus is a lot of you guys are fading J.K. Dobbins. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have a price. That just means that, it might be a little bit later until you guys are willing to pull the trigger. So,
Correct.
Okay. So let's jump into our main topic today, which is wide receiver talk. So we're going to discuss some divas today. I think we can all agree it's the most fanatical position on the field.
Sounds like a good position for the commish too.
Yeah, for sure.
Divas.
At least I don't wear pink dresses.
Yeah, there are some people who do wear pink dresses.
Yeah, you want to avoid that. So
Yeah.
So we asked each person to come up with 5 loves and 5 hates for wide receiver position at their current draft position. So, if somebody's going at the 5th pick and we think that's too high, that would mean they're on the hate list. Conversely, if they're going at pick 20 and we think they're worth more than that, then that's a love. So we don't hate the player. Okay. We hate the draft position they're going at. So guess first as always, Zach, who do you love?
I'm going to actually flip the script on you and go for a hate here because I have it pulled up and I hate myself for saying it.
Start with hate then.
However, I hate Jamar Chase at number 3. I hate Jamar Chase at number 3. Yes. He broke out last year. He was fantastic for the first 3 quarters of the season. I know because I had him and he won me a ton of, well, not a ton of games, but he got me a lot of points.
He got you a lot of points. Yeah.
A lot of points.
And I do want to make a note to the podcast listeners out there. I was the highest point scoring total last year, in part due to Jamar Chase for the first 3 quarters of the season. However, once the NFL caught on that Jamar Chase was fantastic, that was just about it. And I think the NFL knows that this year. And at number 3, he's too high for me. You find me taking Jamar Chase 8, 9, 10, 13 at the lowest, but not number 3.
Yeah. So T. Higgins actually had a higher target share down the second stretch of the season than Jamar Chase did. So I think that's a good analysis right there, Zach.
See, he's the one I hate, and T. Higgins is the one I like.
So you're going a flip-flop there.
But he's not my number 1 wide receiver that I like, for rankings. But it's funny because Jamar Chase is, I think he's the better wide receiver on the team, but T. Higgins is, I think, the one that's going to have more of a breakout. I think Chase has a little bit of a slump.
I think
not bad.
Kind of an Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster scenario here where Antonio Brown was so good that he draws coverages.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they're going to be bad. I think they're still going to be good, but I think Chase digresses just a tish because, Higgins will develop a little bit more.
I agree on that. Yeah, Zach, who else do you have? Since we're starting with hates here, let's continue on that.
Since we're starting with hates here.
We're going to end on a good note.
My other hate here, and I hate to say it because he's so dang good, is Davante Adams. I love Davante Adams. He's a fantastic receiver. Not in Las Vegas, not with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is average, and Davante Adams is not the only receiver like he was for Green Bay anymore. So he doesn't get the target share. He doesn't get the touchdowns. He still makes good yards, but with Derek Carr and with the rest of the receiving crew, he just doesn't make as much of an impact as he did in Green Bay.
I had the exact same for my hate. I do not like Davante Adams. Him not being the only target in Las Vegas is going to hurt his draft stock severely. And I mean plummet. And the fact that they put him so high on the board is asinine to me.
I think he still produces.
I mean, he still produces. He's still going to get those targets. He's still going to get those yards. But I don't think he's going to get nearly as many targets as what he did with Aaron Rodgers. And I especially don't think he's going to get as many yards because he's not getting those targets. And I don't think Derek Carr has proved himself enough yet to be as dangerous as Aaron Rodgers was with the deep ball.
Yeah, I'm indifferent with Adams, honestly. It could go either way.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Clay. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I think that this is a scenario. He's a good enough receiver where
I think he's good enough. I think he's a good enough receiver where I think 4 puts him. I mean, looking at the list, honestly, it's based on his quarterback. We know that he's a good wide receiver.
Yep,
so I think it's 100% representative of how his quarterback performs.
You have to feed him 150 targets this year. You have to. You trade that much capital and you pay a guy that much, he's going to get some looks.
When you're a defense, you also have to take into account that you have a really good tight end on that Raiders team as well.
Darren Waller is not to be messed with.
No.
Yeah.
Look out for the walrus.
So that's 2 people on their team that they're going to have to look out for.
Speaking of looking out for, who else are you looking out for, Zach?
Someone I love this year, and I'm going to continue to love is Justin Jefferson. I think he had a good year last year. I think Kirk Cousins is good. I think Minnesota's got some good protection for Kirk Cousins, and I think Justin Jefferson continues to shine here. He's at number 2. I think he deserves number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's fringe number 1 too as well. I think him or Cup can be. Cup. I mean, I think Cup last year. What was he like? Number 9 going in, if that.
Yeah. Yeah, massively outperformed it.
Oh yeah,
massively. So, you has 3 more hates, Zach.
3 more hates. Oh boy. I'm gonna hate DK Metcalf. He's 18 right now. He got paid. He got paid big. But what does Seattle have? Right? Where do they go with DK? You give him the crossing routes. You give him the slants. I think he's going to be fine. But I don't think DK goes deep at all this year. He's got the speed, he's got the power, but do they have the quarterbacks that can do that in the professional football league? So there's hate number 1 of 3 that you have for me. Golly, number 2, I'm going to go Amari Cooper in Cleveland. He's 27th, but again, for those first 6 games, maybe 12, depending on where Deshaun Watson lands with Goodell. I don't know where he goes with that. Obviously, Amari's great, but in Dallas, he had a quarterback with Dak, and we don't know what that situation is going to be yet in Cleveland. And then finally, and you might hate me for this, Colin, but I don't like Tyreek down in Miami.
I agree.
I don't like him in Miami either.
I agree. I think he's also quarterback based.
I think Tua is going to be great on the short routes, on the crossing, on the slants. Tyreek does well in space, but how much space is he going to get within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage? I don't know.
And I think Waddle takes a lot of throws.
I agree with that.
Waddle's more slot. Hill's definitely more of the over the top.
Yeah.
And I think Tua really succeeds when it comes to the slot wide receivers.
I agree with you there.
But I think he'll have his moments.
Oh yeah, he'll have a couple games where he goes off for 20 plus. Yeah. But yeah. Who else do you love, Zach?
Who else do I love? I got to say it all day. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. Give me that combo all day, every day.
What about the news with OBJ coming to Buffalo?
Okay, send him my way. That's fine. Stephon has proven himself. Josh Allen has proven himself. Again, I'm probably a little bit biased because I had Josh Allen last year on my team. But
he's got a rocket arm.
It's hard to beat. So looks Josh Allen, I love. I also think that CeeDee Lamb, even though he may be the only actual receiver in Dallas, is going to be fine. I like him at number 7. Maybe he trends down to 9 or 10 this year, but I think you can take him safely at number 7. I think Dak has his target. He's got his man, and that might be his only man. So see CeeDee Lamb with a lot of the lion's share of the targets this year.
Definitely upstock for sure. Yeah. Clay, move on to you. Who, if you had a couple overlaps, that's fine. You can just briefly mention them, but give me your 5 hates since we're starting with 8, ending on positive.
My 5 hates. Well, Chase was definitely one of my hates, along with Hill. Oh, who was the one I don't like? Oh, man. Where are you at? See, I'm on the fence with CeeDee Lamb. I think that he could either stay strong with 7 or he could just have an absolutely horrendous year. I think Dak has a bad year this year. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be that great. I mean, I don't ever buy into their hype every year. I just don't understand why they get so much, publicity when they really haven't proven anything. What?
They're America's team.
Yeah, I just don't understand why we buy into it and then they continue to, and then they continue to just, underperform. So I don't really like CeeDee Lamb. Honestly, DJ Moore I don't overly like at 12.
Who's going to be the quarterback for Carolina?
That's the thing. I don't know who their quarterback really is going to be. Is it going to be Sam Darnold?
No.
Or Baker?
No, it's going to be Baker.
This isn't even a question. I think they're just playing it out for, Matt Rule comes from the college coaching world, and
it's not like Sam Darnold or Baker are big, gunslingers.
No, but I think Baker
Baker likes to think that he is.
Yes, exactly, but he underthrows it. So
he's a lot better NFL quarterback than Sam Darnold is. I mean,
Yeah.
you see that just based on the touchdown turnover ratio. Baker more is a game manager than he was in college. Clearly the talents haven't totally translated, but game on the line, I'm giving the ball to Baker 10 times out of 10 if the other option is Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%.
I think this individual is too high at 25. I think Darnell Mooney is too high. I don't like the Bears whatsoever. I think there's wide receivers underneath Darnell right now per ESPN that I would take over him easily.
Give me 3 guys under him that you take over.
Easily Cortland Sutton. I would take Juju. And I would take Amari Cooper. I would.
I agree with you on those two. Yeah.
Honestly, Michael Thomas, there's a question mark with him, but I mean, if he gets back to Michael Thomas, of 3 years ago, I mean, that's top 10 wide receiver.
How long has it been since Michael Thomas took a snap?
2 years?
Over 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be a big year for him then.
Yes.
Contract year.
Not my quarterbacks. My wide receivers that I am big on are my sophomore wide receivers. So they're second year players. I really like Jerry Jeudy. He has a really good quarterback with him. He's a slot wide receiver. I think he's going to be pretty solid this year. I think he's going to be better than top 20. St. Brown with Detroit. I think he also is going to be good. You see sophomore, second year, wide receivers usually have a really good breakout second season. I like those two. I think one that is selling low right now but can go really high, Michael Pittman from Indianapolis. He has a better quarterback.
I don't think he's going to stay selling low, Clay.
No, overhyped.
I think the closer we get to the season, the higher you're going to see his draft stock go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
But currently right now at 15.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I like that. And then someone who never gets enough respect but is always performing is Brandon Cooks at 20. He's easily a top 15 wide receiver every year. He performs.
The reaction, Pat. Take me inside your mind.
The numbers don't lie with him. He's a top 15 wide receiver for like the last 5 or 6 seasons.
But he's horrifically inconsistent. Horrifically inconsistent. And this is somebody who has drafted Brandon Cooks for the last 2 years and has tried to be a Brandon Cooks stan for the last 2 years. He is so inconsistent every single game. There are games that you can get 20 points out of him solid, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, dang, he's doing great this year. He's going to be awesome. And then there comes a point, like it's like you're riding a roller coaster, right? You're up at the very highest point, and then he just falls. And you can get maybe 5 points out of him a game. I'm not disagreeing with you, Clay. I think he's a great wide receiver. He's just too inconsistent to draft. And because he's too,
I will say at the end of the season, I think he's going to have a higher ranking than what he is right now.
I could see it, but I think 20 is just too high for him. I would like to see him more in the 40s range than in the 20s.
40s?
He doesn't deserve 40s range.
Pat is
Speaking of 40s range, my last person is in the 40s range that I think is going to have a way better season.
Pat, is Cooks on your hate list?
He's not on my hate list, right?
You want to drop the guy 20 spots.
But he's a great wide receiver. I'm not
our biggest drop.
I'm not saying I absolutely hate the guy, but I'm saying at 20,
God, I hope
he's
you get
way too
flamed
high.
by the group for that.
Yeah, I get flamed for the group for everything. I got flamed from the group last week because I over-exaggerated how fast Derrick Henry ran. I live for it. I eat it up. But I don't know. I think he's too high on his board, and he's too inconsistent to draft that early on.
Okay.
Last person that I have, he's in the 40 range. I think he's going to end up better than what he is. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore from the New York Jets.
That's a great pick.
That's a good pick.
That's another second-year wide receiver that I like.
Before
Plus, his
we,
quarterback's a baller and likes to score. So,
Dude.
before we move this conversation to commission and your thoughts, and maybe you'll touch on this, but I want to talk about why nobody has talked about Justin Herbert and Los Angeles and Mike Williams and
I like where he's at.
and Keenan Allen. I can't believe that none of the three of us yet have brought up those two, because I think both of those two do much better with the Chargers this year than they did last year. Justin Herbert is on fire. I think he's going to stay on fire. I think you see both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen higher than where they're drafting at right now.
But I still like where they're ranked at right now. That's the thing.
yeah.
That's the only reason why I don't want to say them, because I'm like, honestly, that's safe. That's a good
I think
one.
you see Mike Williams at 12,
I think Mike
11.
Williams should be up more.
I think you see Keenan Allen take over Jamar Chase's spot. I think Keenan Allen's going to be your 3, 4, or 5.
Yes, I think Mike Williams has a bigger jump than Keenan, but I mean, I like where Keenan's at right now. Mike can definitely be up a little bit higher. I would agree.
Pat, let's go to you, man. Give us your 5 hates, even if they've been said before. Just reinforce the names really quick for the people at home.
Okay, so 4 out of my 5 have already been named. Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Thomas, and Brandon Cooks. My last hate that I do not like, and it's kind of unfair. It's Terry McLaurin from Washington.
I do not like him. Yeah, I don't
agree with you there, Pat.
The number one reason why, and this is the number one rule, or the second rule I ever learned in this league, is to never draft a Washington football team player, which I know they're not the Washington football team anymore, but I think it's still funny that they went that route.
Commandos.
So never draft anybody from Washington. So that's why he is on my hate list.
Okay. And who do you love?
So this is gonna get weird. I just want you all to just let it happen.
Pat, things are weird
We're letting it happen already. You already said your Brandon Cook stuff.
Yeah, I know. I know. So my number 2 that I love is Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf. Now you're wondering why I'm adding DK Metcalf so high. And the reason I'm adding him so high is because is the same reason why I have Deebo Samuel number 1. Deebo Samuel is a dual threat in terms of wide receiver and rushing yards. Deebo Samuel last year had 365 rushing yards with 8 rushing touchdowns, not including any of his other wide receiver stats. As
That's
a wide
receiver, come down though.
But does it?
That's no regression.
But does it though? Because they have Trey Lance at quarterback. I don't think Trey Lance is going to have what the 49ers need, but I think the 49ers are going to be fine because they have somebody like Deebo Samuel, which is the exact reason why I love DK Metcalf, because I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to adopt something very similar to what the 49ers have done with Deebo.
Utilize athleticism.
DK can handle that type of, workload too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they're not going to.
Is he going to want to after getting paid? Actually, no, he would, because he got paid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he just got paid. He's a happy man.
Yeah. It's not contract season for him.
Right. So that's why. So those are my two loves. Also got Stephon Diggs.
I'm gonna agree with you with Deebo, but when you tell me Seattle, who do you think of besides DK?
That's about it.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
Let me have you drag that statement out for a second, Pat.
Seriously?
If all you can think of is DK Metcalf, Pat, what are they going to do when something happens to him if they give him this workload that you're talking about? What are they going to do when DK doesn't perform like you think they're going to perform? I think that Seattle hasn't been through that yet, even if that's the route they're going to take, and San Francisco has. San Francisco knows what it takes. They've done it before, and they can do it again, and Seattle has not. They've been living the dream with Russell Westbrook for the last how many years?
Correct.
Correct. Russell Westbrook. A lot of football.
Russell Wilson. Yeah, I'm taking it from
2
last
weeks
week
in a row.
With Russell Wilson, they've been doing this for how long? And now they don't have that. Pat, you can't tell me that DK is going to be better this year than he was last year. You can't tell me that.
Let me throw that logic right back at you. When you think of the 49ers, who else do you think of besides Deebo Samuel?
Fair.
Right? I agree with
but Pat, listen, the 49ers have done this already. Last year, who did you think of? Jimmy G? Awesome. He's out there doing porn stars, Pat. Okay, he's not playing football.
Jimmy G strings.
Right. I don't know what else you expect, right?
In the Niners defense,
and they did good with it too.
They do have George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk was solid down the stretch, and Elijah Mitchell proved to be pretty more than capable of handling a heavy workload. So I think the unpredictability of using Debo really played to their advantage last year.
All I'm saying is it would not. I think because Seattle really doesn't have any other option, I think that they're going to try to adopt a similar system to what the 49ers did. And that's why I think DK Metcalf is going to be a really good pick.
I like the hot take, Pat. I like it.
It's spicy.
Pat,
I'm
so confident that you're going to be wrong, Pat, that if you're right, I will buy you a few beers to celebrate your rightness. That's how confident I am that you're going to be wrong.
Yeah, spend money to make money.
Scared money don't make money. Scared money don't make money.
Who else you got, Pat?
So Stephon Diggs, love him. He's a great pick. He's a great football player. Josh Allen's got a rocket arm. You know, I mean, it's a match made in heaven. And even with OBJ being there, I think he's still going to get the same amount of targets. I really like what Stephon. I think Buffalo is going to have a great year this year. I really think they're going to have a great year. And I think Stephon Diggs is going to have crazy numbers. Also love Cooper Kupp. I know that's a soft choice, but I mean, he's the best wide receiver right now.
And we go from like flaming hot takes to like the most bland.
I ain't done yet, Kamish. Hold your horses. All right. So yeah, love Cooper Kupp. Last but not least, DJ Moore. I knew you all hated him. You threw some shade earlier. I wanted a rebuttal, but wanted to wait for my takes. I think DJ Moore and Baker Mayfield is the match made in heaven waiting to happen.
You're just saying that because you had DJ Moore.
I really think that DJ Moore is going to be a really good receiver choice this year with Baker Mayfield.
Fair enough.
I forgot that I had two scary, sneaky sleepers that I wanted to bring up on mine.
Ooh, go ahead.
I find it odd that one of the better quarterbacks in the league, his best wide receiver is all the way down at 40. I think Allen Lazard is going to have a better year than being a top 40 wide receiver than what he's projected. And my last one, I've been hearing from camp that Trey Lance really likes him, Brandon Ayuk.
I was on that gravy train last year, and the gravy was not good, let me tell you. He is a doghouse sleeper. He sleeps in the doghouse.
At 47,
Kyle Shanahan.
At 47, let's see what.
But at 47, hey, I'd be willing to pay that price.
His current average salary right now is less than $2.
Yeah, that's.
I take the chance on that
for sure.
And Allen Lazard is under $3. Heck yeah, I'd take that chance.
Those are good dart throws.
A number one wide receiver on Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. Yeah, I'd try that for $3. Easy.
I'm going to throw in Hollywood Brown as well into this discussion,
especially with the first 6 games.
Trading at 24. Man, you guys.
Especially with DeAndre out for the first couple games.
I think you're going to see Hollywood. I think you're going to see
if he stays healthy
production out of Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're going to finish up with my love hates here. And on the hate list, we'll start with that we can end on a good note as Zach starts us off today. So my first hate's Keenan Allen. And Zach tried to hype up the Chargers, but here's the problem. The Chargers always Charger. And not only that, I actually think they're going to be good this year. So I'll give them a benefit of a doubt. The problem is they have too many mouths to feed. I think you're going to see Mike Williams take on a lot bigger goal line role. He's going to get a lot more touchdowns, a lot more utilization. Keenan Allen's still going to be consistent. Don't get me wrong. I just think he's going to be outside the top 10 when it's all said and done. The Chargers also have Joshua Palmer coming on strong. I think he's going to be a really talented player for a long time. So I think he gets some look. And obviously Eckler, I'm not sure what his target share is, but I'm sure it's got to be up around.
He does take some target shares. He does take target share.
Yep, he runs routes fantastic. So my other hate is DJ Moore. We've kind of hashed that one out a little bit, but I just
I'll
think
add to that beer. I'll add to that beer bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with Zach.
Yeah.
And Colin.
Don't think DJ Moore is going to have it this year?
No.
No, I don't either. So I think his quarterback's his ceiling this year. I think that offense runs through Christian McCaffrey and always will run through Christian McCaffrey. Even when Christian McCaffrey's hurt, you saw last year, he was a great receiver, but he just wasn't as high as he's being drafted right now. My third hate is Jerry Jeudy. I think with the Denver Broncos offense, they're obviously getting a boost with Russ Wilson. The problem is, I think you almost have to throw a dart on one of these guys. They're both going to be better than they were last year, for sure. Obviously, Jeudy and Sutton both have had injury concerns in the past, but I think Sutton is a much better option. He's actually on my love list here, so I'll briefly talk about him. I think he's a bigger body. I think he's a more physical receiver, and I think that Russ Wilson is going to really have that deep ball connection like he kind of did with DK and Tyler Lockett. I think they profile pretty similar. My next one is Michael Thomas. I think he is a very high risk, high reward, high loss type of pick. I mean, you could end up buying Michael Thomas at a real cheap discount, and he might pay off for you.
Right now.
Or you're sitting there with a dead spot on your roster for how many weeks, hoping that he shows some glimmer of what he used to be. So I think that's a risky pick. And then my last one is Allen Robinson. I think the days of seeing him in the top 10, top 20 receiver conversation are over. Matt Stafford's a great, or Stafford.
He's on the Rams, but he's old.
He is, and he's always notoriously been a poor separator. He doesn't create a whole lot of space. He's just had solid hands, and Stafford is.
I would like to be wrong with Allen Robinson, though. I want him to be successful because he had the shit a quarterback all throughout his career. I would like to see him break out. I want to be wrong with Allen Robinson.
Playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with.
Exactly.
Correct. So, all the best to Mr. Allen over there. On the love list, I got to mention a few of them. I try to pick guys that were a little bit lower down. I think we hashed out some of the top guys. So I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman for the Ravens. This guy had a fantastic share of the targets last year when Marquise Hollywood-Brown was out. And I think he's got a lot of potential. He's a pretty good speedster, and I think he fits well with what the Ravens want to do. They clearly don't want to pass the ball, but they got to throw the ball to somebody, and they're going to have some negative game scripts where they have to. And I think Mark Andrews is a focal spot and who defenses are going to try to take away. So I think there's real opportunity for Bateman out there.
I have to agree with you on that one, Kamish. I think Bateman's a great pick. He missed the first 5 games last year. And according to ESPN, per ESPN metrics, ended up scoring about 103 points last year, had 515 yards, 67 targets was it. I think you're going to see Bateman's targets looking 120, 130 this year, as long as he can stay healthy.
I agree, for sure. The third one I have is Christian Kirk. And this one is interesting. He got the bag to go be a wide receiver number 1. And I'm not saying he's going to be the best number 1 receiver in the NFL.
I think he got overpaid.
However, he definitely got overpaid for sure.
100%. He finessed him.
But you got to pay the Jax tax whenever you're trying to get somebody to go to the Jaguars. Yeah. But I think Trevor Lawrence takes a step forward this year. I don't think he's going to necessarily mature into a superstar. We thought he could be coming out of college this year. But I think, anytime you have a chance to take, what is he going at? 39. So I think anytime you can get a number 1 receiver for a team, similar to Allen Lazard, he's my next love on this list. Anytime you can get a number 1 receiver for a team at that kind of a discount, it's almost 100%. Every time worth the flyer. Because you're going to know right away if they're what you draft them to be or not.
I find it insane that an Aaron Rodgers number 1 wide receiver is below a Trevor Lawrence number one wide receiver.
That is interesting to me.
Now, Colin, I want you to talk really quick on Christian Kirk. Let's keep this discussion going. What do you pay out for him? What's your limit for Christian Kirk? He's great. He got the bag, $72 million. And yet he has yet to have a year where he's had 80 catches. He has yet to have a year where he's had 7 touchdowns. Is Trevor Lawrence the answer for him? And if so, or if not, how much do you pay for him at the end of the day? Where do you say that's too much for Christian Kirk? He already made his money.
Right now, his average auction value is 2.3. And so I would every day pay 2.3, or let's round it up 3, 4, even probably $5 to see what Christian Kirk can do. I think he's got a lot more snaps on the field. Sometimes talent produces fantasy success, sometimes opportunity does. And I think in this case, it's a lot of opportunity to overlook.
Well, I know I'm pushing that up extra dollar when it's at $3 just to get you to pay 5.
First pick of the draft this year. Mark it right now, Christian Kirk.
5, no, was $3, Clay? Is that what you said?
I'm gonna put it for 4 because I know you'll buy for 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So everybody's stealing draft secrets on this. Maybe I set a higher price just to screw with you guys, but
Exactly. This could all be just strategy to really.
It's all smoke and mirrors. Don't believe.
I mean, that's why we rolled out our divisions.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It was all just to get, discussion to really, see who, the weak ones were in our league that would throw a fit.
Clay, if you were supposed to leave -1 minutes ago, talking about the divisions is not a good idea tonight.
So my last one has got to be Robert Woods. I know he's coming off injury, and I know he had a little bit of a down year last year, but the guy's talented, and people overlook it all the time. Tennessee is vacating.
He's number 1 there.
Yeah, they're vacating all of their receiver targets from last year, pretty much.
Yeah,
between Julio Jones and AJ Brown leaving.
I think Tennessee has a bad year.
And he's a big size wide receiver, and he's a slot type wide receiver.
He's a good scheme fit.
Yeah, I think Tennessee has a bad year this year. I don't think that they can avoid the injury bug for another year. I think they're going to get plagued with injuries again. But you give me Robert Woods at $1 all day. I'm with you on that one.
Easy.
Yeah. Yep. I like Robert Woods there.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Any other honorable mentions before we move on? No?
No, Rushmore.
Okay. So I think we have a really fun, possibly one of the most fun drafts that we'll be doing this year today. And it's going to be superheroes.
Before we do this, I just had to say, Kamish, the serial pick, it never showed up, and I'm disappointed. I wanted to vote on the serial. I wanted to see who would take the top spot so we could all prove that you, in fact, are an old man.
Yes, you're such an old man.
That's probably why you didn't put it out there, because you didn't want to have to face the truth.
Feel free to find a good polling software and let me know. Or let Pat know, because I don't know how to use software.
Play one.
So, but I will defend my mini spooners any day.
No one knew what they were.
But hey, who went out and bought some? Pat, don't let me down.
No,
you went and bought some?
No one went out and bought mini spooners. No one goes out to Menards and buys mini.
No one goes to Menards.
So, do you guys think, since I'm probably the only one pounding the table for mini spooners, maybe we can get a sponsorship?
I think you should reach out to Mini Spooners and find out, because if we can get sponsored by Mini Spooners, I think
box of Mini Spooners.
If we get sponsored by Mini Spooners, I will eat Mini Spooners every single day.
Every day.
I'll eat them on the pod.
I love it.
No free shout outs.
I will sell out for Mini Spooners. We'll just put it that way.
Absolutely, I'll sell out for Mini Spooners.
All right, Menards, if you're listening, Multi-Meal, hit us up. So we're gonna let Zach, as always, kick us off. We always start with the guests. It's just a polite thing to do. So superheroes, again, we're limiting this to the DC and Marvel universes because we don't want any crazies out here that we never heard of. So, Zach,
who's going to go second?
I don't care.
Okay,
Pat, Clay, one of you guys.
Pat, you go second.
Okay, I'll go second.
I'll go third, and Commission go fourth.
Sure, works for me.
Okay.
So we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of Marvel and DC superheroes. There's
who would you want on your team?
So many to pick from. To be honest with you, I thought about this long and hard. Do I go with somebody who breaks the mold and people wouldn't think is, that's actually a really good first choice. I never would have thought about that. Or do you go with the Cooper Cup of superheroes? And I have to take the Cooper Cup of superheroes. You guys, the man who started it all, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., give that to me. Number one, Mount Rushmore, plastered. He's the George Washington of superheroes.
That's a first pick right there.
I'm a little salty already.
That's first pick.
I'm
you can't deny that. You can't deny that.
Nope.
Oh man, I wonder what Pat's gonna do.
No, gosh. So my number one pick is my all-time number one superhero ever since I was a little kid. It's got to be the Green Lantern.
You're shitting me. You
You
like
mean
Green Lantern?
Absolutely, I like
that
Green
movie?
Lantern.
That
No, the
movie
movie
was
is a
an absolute
bust.
flop.
Put it on the board.
For
It's
you to
awful.
put in the cricket sound in the post
Oh
pod.
my
that's
god!
the
Your
place
team
right there.
is getting wrecked. Yikes!
Yeah.
No, love the
I'm
Green
so
Lantern.
glad I'm getting this
hate-
pick at number 3.
I think they did a really terrible job of making the movie with Ryan Reynolds. They should have done a better casting
Ryan
all
Reynolds
around.
shits on the movie. That's how bad
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. But regardless of that, I'm a big comic book guy. I used to read comic books all the time, and Green Lantern was always my favorite comic growing up.
Gotcha.
So that's my number 1.
Okay, well, my number 1, just because she's so powerful, but I want Scarlet Witch. Easy.
Scarlet Witch is a good pick.
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. I want Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
She's so powerful.
So I'm gonna break the mold. Actually, Green Lantern's DC, isn't he, Pat?
He is DC.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm gonna go with the best DC superhero, and we got to go with Batman, the Dark Knight
I
himself.
thought you were gonna say Superman.
You run into anybody in Dark Alley, you do not want it to be Batman. That's all I'm saying.
Actually, I'd
Is-
rather it be Batman, because at least I know I'm Dunyan Rings right from the start. Right from the start.
See, the cool thing about Batman is, any of us could realistically be Batman, if we trained in a cave for several years and we're super geniuses with a lot of money. So,
Realistically, yes, absolutely. Realistically,
Yeah.
definitely realistic. Absolutely realistic.
for sure, I could see you in a suit, Zach.
Yeah, realistically.
So with my second one here, I'm going to jump back to Marvel, but I'm going to stray away from the Avengers sphere here. And we're going to go with Wolverine. The original
I
X-Men.
like Wolverine.
Okay.
I think he is one of the most badass movie characters out there. His origin story is really cool. And I just really think the X-Men need a little bit of love on this.
Shout out to Logan. What a good movie.
Logan was
It's a great
fantastic.
movie.
Yeah.
I did like movie. Very sad.
Yeah. Back to you, Vinny.
Okay, I'm gonna go off more powerful people still. So far it's gonna be a lineup of women, but I'm gonna do Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel.
You slimy son of a gun.
I have to. My lineup might be all girls.
Thank you for supporting the feminist movement, Clay.
Dude, they got some powerful women in the Marvel and DC universe. That's for sure.
For my second one, I am going to go with keeping with the DC theme, Dr. Manhattan.
Ooh, okay.
Literally has the power of the atomic bomb surging through his entire body. Definitely is arguably the most powerful one, but not the most powerful one in the DC universe, but still a favorite.
Interesting that guys like, Captain America, Superman, some of the most well-known ones are still on the board. So
There are some
Well,
very well-known,
I'm going to take
but some of them are not overly powerful though.
I'm going
If
to
you wanna
take one of those
construct
two
a
off
team.
the board here. With my second pick, we're going to stay with the face of each universe here. And you can argue Batman is the face of DC, but my second pick has to be Superman. If we're talking Mount Rushmore here, we're talking the best, most well-known superheroes. If you give me Iron Man and you give me Superman, I feel like I'm going to be pretty safe walking down that dark alley. I've got Iron Man on my left, Superman on my right. Batman is not going to mess with me. Okay.
have you seen Batman versus Superman?
So
Superman.
second pick.
Yeah.
Second pick here has to be Superman.
Kryptonite is his one weakness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Third pick, we're gonna flip back over to Marvel. We're gonna stay with the Avengers because they are the best team of superheroes ever to assemble. And we're gonna go with the God of Thunder and Thor.
That's a good one.
And specifically, we're gonna go with Fat Thor. He really resonates with me. So Fat Thor is gonna be my third pick.
Yes.
I'm gonna emphasize that on the document here, okay? In parentheses.
Not regular Thor.
It has to be Fat Thor. Regular Thor is great. He's kind of a
End game
douche.
Thor.
But
End
Fat
game
Thor is the man.
The God of
And number
thunderous
3.
footsteps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thor. Okay. Yeah. Pat, you're up next, buddy.
Yeah. So for my
Your
third,
place is haunted. Your door just randomly opened.
yeah, no, it's Mavis.
Oh, okay. Oh, hi.
What up, pups?
So for my third pick, I'm gonna go head over to the Marvel universe for a little bit, and I'm gonna go with the Silver Surfer.
Ooh.
Explain that one, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you
got
all
some random
familiar?
ones.
Are you all familiar with the Silver Surfer?
I mean,
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah. So Fantastic Four, the guy can go through time. Has the literal ability to travel through time. He's indestructible, can't die. He's just he's probably the second most powerful being in the entire Marvel universe. And quite frankly, it's kind of a shame how they haven't added him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet.
They did.
It's probably coming
because he rides a surfboard.
I thought he
yeah,
was
but
in
that's like
separate
before.
spin-off series. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's like that part. I'm pretty sure it's not even canon to the whole MCU thing yet.
Yeah, probably not.
So he's probably gonna. I'd be shocked if he wasn't added in Phase 5. But he's probably coming in Phase 5. But watch out for him. He's gonna be fun.
Well, since you mentioned time, I will stay on the theme of time, and I will stick to Marvel, and I will kind of go off my script of women and go to a guy, and I'm going to go with Doctor Strange.
But
You know,
Sounds like Clay's
like
team's
it.
just going to be infighting this entire time. Multiverse of madness in
Yes,
Clay's lineup here.
yes. I haven't watched that movie yet. I need to. I've been waiting for Courtney.
You haven't?
No, I want to watch all the movies with Courtney.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Man, so there's a lot of pressure building for these two back-to-backs because, it's kind of a lot of pressure knowing it's not going to come back to you. Let's see. I had Thor and Iron Man who were kind of snagged before I could get to them. So I think I'm going to go with one of my favorites. I think is a really cool character. Probably the most unique character in the Marvel universe. And I'm going to go with Deadpool.
Yeah.
good pick.
I think that he is one of the most entertaining to watch. He's written very well, comics and movies, and can't die. So realistically, doesn't matter what Superman does to him, he can't die.
I like that.
So I'm going to go Deadpool.
It's the very
And I'm gonna
opposite
come-
of any Detroit quarterback. That's where they go to die.
Yes.
Facts. And then the last one I'm going to take is another favorite of mine, the intergalactic hero himself, Starlord. Definitely.
He's got a good
color me
soundtrack.
surprised. I would have pegged you to take Captain America any day, Colin.
Yeah,
You really threw me for a loop on this one.
Here's the problem. I really like Captain America.
he doesn't have America's ass.
The issue is I really don't like the guy who acts him. Is it Evans?
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah,
Evans, he's a great actor for him.
I'm not a big Chris Evans fan. Maybe it's because he stole Buzz Lightyear's voice. I don't know.
Kamish, real quick, do you think Starlord would eat mini spooners?
He seems
I
like
think-
the type.
I think if you're gonna have a sponsor for Mini Spooners, it's Starlord, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mini scooters.
I think so. Who else does their shopping at Menards other than Starlord?
Apparently you.
Yes, me. Yes, me. All righty, Clay, back to you, buddy.
Last one, and this one is mainly just because I just started watching the TV show for it, but I really enjoy her character. I'm gonna go with Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel, huh?
I think she's fun. Plus, she has a pretty overpowered little wrist gauntlet that she has. I like my team.
Hey, I think someday we need to come back and we need to do villains in this same vein.
Yeah.
Stay
Agreed.
tuned for another episode.
Agreed.
All righty, Pat. Who is rounding out your team?
So for my last one, which I'm kind of shocked no one has taken him at this point. But I'm gonna have to go with Spider-Man.
Yeah. If Spider-Man got left out, that would have been a real.
That would have been a real travesty.
Who's your favorite Spider-Man? Pat, real quick. Top of your head.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
He's my first one.
Now, to be fair,
not Tom Holland, but
to be fair, my favorite for the longest time was
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire, because I think Tobey Maguire played Spider-Man very well, even though he had
Yes.
nothing to do with the comics whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I
agree with
think
that.
as far as comic book progression goes, Tom Holland matches Spider-Man, the character.
Tom Holland,
best.
number 1, Tobey Maguire, number 2, Andrew Garfield, number 3. They all were fantastic. They're all really close. But
I just think the producer for Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man's, I just don't think they did that justice for him.
Yeah.
They made him act not like a Peter.
Yeah.
The Peter Tinkle.
All right, Mr. Irrelevant, Zach. Who is it going to be?
I thank you for the intro there, but I can't say Mr. Irrelevant to this one. Shout out to Chadwick Boseman. Shout out to Black Panther. If there's anyone to bring a team together, it's Black Panther. It's Chadwick Boseman. So shout out to him. What a great job he did, and is still doing posthumously, and inspiring youth around the country.
Yes, that's a great pick.
That's a good pick. I like it. So to round it out, we had Zach drafting on number 1 hole has Iron Man, Superman, Thor, in parentheses the Fat Thor, and Black Panther. Pat ended up with Green Lantern, Dr. Manhattan, Silver Surfer, and Spider-Man. I think you could have probably drafted those reverse order.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know, dude. Everyone was chopping at the bit to get Green Lantern. Everybody.
I didn't even think of
Everyone.
Green Lantern.
and then Clay has Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, and Miss Marvel.
I would not want to mess with that team. I would not.
No, because they'll hold a grudge for at least 3 months.
Dude, they're powerful. I like them.
And then my team, of course, is Batman, Wolverine, Deadpool, and Starlord.
I like how your number 1 pick was someone that just has money. That's why he's a superhero.
I feel like Colin's team is full of you think of superheroes and you're like, damn, what a badass that guy is, right? You think of Batman and you're like, oh, I wouldn't want to mess with him. Then you've got Wolverine who's going to shred you to pieces, right? Who was your third pick, Colin? Batman,
Deadpool.
Wolverine, Deadpool doesn't die. Obviously very raunchy
Star-Lord.
movies, and then you get the
Star-Lord
comic
got
relief
swag.
with Starlord. Sponsored by Mini Spooners. I think that really rounds your team out really well.
Oh man. Oh, it was a good pod, guys. I really enjoyed it. So just quick note for next week. I will not be here, so I'm gonna really try and get Andy on the podcast. I think you guys could have a jolly old time doing an anti-commissioner themed podcast. Get it all out of your system. I know you guys struggle to hang out with me for an hour a week, but I sure appreciate it. I have a great time.
Yeah, it's a good time. Always is.
Another note to make sure that whoever gets the first draft pick, Christian Kirk, you heard it here first. Start the bidding, minimum $5.
Yes,
minimum $5.
Colin set the bar.
Yep. And if you don't, then we might have to consider, excommunication from the league. So just to set that bar. So any other comments, boys, before we
I have one quick thing. Commish, you're not allowed to say anything during this part. But today I was listening to a football podcast that had Aaron Rodgers on it. And Aaron Rodgers talked about how during training camp they would give out grit grades. So they would grade everybody on their grit. So you could either get a grit grade of N, which means needs more grit. You have a grit grade of G, which is just, you got grit. And then you had a grit grade of Alpha. Like being like, you are transcended beyond grit. That's how much grit you have. For Clay and for Beery, what would we give Commish for a grit grade?
Alpha grit.
I'm going to go with the opposite of that and literally no grit.
Whoa! Come on, Colin has thick skin.
And here's the reason why. I have a reason behind that. And again, Commissioner, not allowed to speak here, but I know if you could speak, you would be telling me, well, you just take the job. You be the commish then. So that's why I gave you the grit grade of literally no grit.
I would give.
I say that with the utmost love.
I would agree with Clay. I would give him an alpha grit, just because you think of I think of fantasy football, and I think of Colin, just because he's done so much for this podcast and so much for this league. And yeah, that's my pick.
He's got the skin that is the most thick of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Or the most paper thin, the way you look at it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's true. I'll make one comment, not on that topic.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm not on mute anymore.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I will say, I will fiercely defend and stand by any one of you guys in the league. I love you guys. Just want you to know that as much shit as I
Alpha
give you,
for sure.
that I might
Alpha
talk in
for
the
sure.
chat.
Yeah,
that's an
that's
alpha
my
comment right
commish.
there.
That's my commish.
L for love. I'm gonna give you L grit. L for love.
Love
L
grit.
for low T, but it's fine. All right, boys. It's been fantastic again. Again, I won't be here next week, so Deucer, Pat, and Vinny will take you guys through rounding out the positional battles. So defense, we're talking kickers, the real difference makers in this league for sure.
Yes.
For sure. So we'll try and get Andy on here, and we'll try to get somebody else. So if you hear this podcast, raise your hand metaphorically in the chat and hit us up. So, all right, boys. Have
Many
a
spooners.
fantastic
We're
rest
looking
of
out
your
for
week.
you.
Any Spooners. Cheers, boys.
Cheers to Spooners.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers to Spooners.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.